It is officially the first day of Blackathon, so in honor of that, follow me to go check out a really cool bookstore in Toronto that supports Black authors. Hi everyone, my name is Talia and welcome to hustleSZN. Today is a Friday. I've been at home for a while now. I've been on vacation for a week and I've been doing nothing. It's been great, but I'm getting kind of bored. And so I wanted to go into the city today to show you some of the independent bookstores in Toronto. The one in particular that I'm most excited about is called a Different Bookstore. Apparently the focus of the store is to support Black authors. We'll also check out 3 other stores. One focuses on LGBTQ literature. One is a used bookstore that I'm unhauling a couple books, so I'm just gonna go give those books to them, see if I can get any cash, because I don't really want to buy books, but if we're going to all these independent bookstores, I kind of want to support them if I'm making the trip there. And the 4th store focuses on fantasy and sci-fi novels. So let me just start off by showing the books that I'm going to unhaul, and then I'll let you know how much cash I get for those as well. I am giving away 3 books from the Fallen Kingdom series, number 1, 2, and 6. I have no clue why I bought number 6 if I hadn't read number 3 to 5. I was stupid. New World Rising by Jennifer Wilson. The Language of Flowers by Vanessa Diffenbaugh. The Hearts We Sold by Emily Lloyd-Jones. The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. 2 Becky Albertalli books, Leah on the Offbeat, as well as The Upside of Unrequited. Scythe by Neil Schusterman, and then The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, and then Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Flame in the Mist by Renee Audier, as well as Toil and Trouble by 15 authors. Roseblood by A.G. Howard, and then Before She Ignites by Jody Meadows. Sky in the Deep by Adrian Young, and then The Sandcastle Empire by Kayla Olson. Let's just get to it. Let's go check. They actually support a lot of POC authors in general, so it's not just Black authors. And this one was really cool. I in particular really loved the children's book section. So I know that embracing natural hair is a really big thing in the Black community. It's not as big in the Persian community, but for some reason I relate to it on so many levels. I've always had a love-hate relationship with my hair. When it works, I like it, but growing up I obviously wish I had straight hair. I thought it was so cool. There were so many children's books about natural hair and how to embrace it, how to like it. There was even one book that was all about a young girl learning to tell people don't touch my hair, or how to actually ask permission before you touch that person's hair. Things like that, which I just thought were so cool because that was not something that was ever spoken about when I was younger. On top of that, the store has a lot of just empty space, so they use that for different types of events. I have no idea what kinds of events, but I assume really cool events. But it was just really chill because there was a lot of grandmas and aunties just kind of chilling there, having their food, talking. So it seems like it's a social hub on top of just being a bookstore, and I was so excited to support them. And so the first item that I bought was actually from there, and I'll do my haul as we go. So the first book I bought is My Sister the Serial Killer. It looks pretty cool. There's daggers in her glasses. The type of humor, that sort of dark humor, was something that I am interested in. Regardless, I just wanted to support the bookstore, so even if I hate the book, I'm not mad. After that, I went to another bookstore in the same area called Bakka Phoenix. Bakka Phoenix is one of my all-time favorite bookstores. It specifically only focuses on sci-fi and fantasy. On the bookshelves as you're going along, there will be a paper stuck to the book. One of the workers at the store who has read this book and wants to recommend it, they can write a paragraph about what essentially they liked of the book, and so they might be fans of blah 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 might really like this. They have a small YA section, but they definitely focus on adult fantasy and adult sci-fi. Lately I've really been wanting to read some adult fantasy, but as I was walking around, honestly it was all very overwhelming and I had no idea. The only thing that I'd heard of is that on BookTube a lot of people constantly say try the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, that's a good one to start with, or just in general try something by Brandon Sanderson. And I had tried The Way of Kings, I believe it's called, and I was like, I'm not like loving it. So then I was like, maybe Skyward. A lot of people also really like that recently. I went up to the two workers and I just told them, I was like, straight up, what would you recommend to someone who has never read adult fantasy? They were so excited to help me. Like, I'm so nervous when it comes to stuff like that, and I hate interacting with salespeople. It's just this weird interaction where I'm like, do you have an agenda? Like, can I even really trust you? I feel uncomfortable being like, hey, like, thank you, now can you leave me alone? I'm just always like even worried that they're judging the thing that I'm picking up to look at. So it's just like, I hate interacting with salespeople. I ended up being this woman who helped me, and she was so lovely and so nice. Like, honestly, I couldn't get over it all day how helpful this woman was. So she asked me a couple basic questions, like, do you want more urban fantasy, or do you want like high fantasy? Does it have to be earthbound, or can it be out in outer space, or like another world? So just like some basic stuff that we went over. And then she's like, okay, now I want you to tell me like 3 or 4 series that you liked or disliked, or in general, what do you like in a book? So I started listing off, you know, I like really strong female characters. I don't like heavy romance. I like world building. I like there to be a magic system. I don't really care like it's earthbound or not. I was like, oh, like I tried Fallen Kingdoms, but I didn't like it. I read An Ember in the Ashes, and I really, really liked that one. Based off all of this, she gave me like 4 suggestions, and she just like sat down and went, well, she didn't sit, she was standing on a ladder, but she went over what in particular she liked about each of those choices, and ultimately we chose 2 from them, and I am like so excited to read them. Like, just the fact that someone curated this list for me makes me all the more excited to read it. Even though technically, isn't that what booktubers are doing for you? Like, yes, but on a mass level, whereas this was like, it felt so personalized, like it felt like I had a personal shopper for me. It just made me that much more excited to read them. So I will show you what I got. The first one is Empire of Sand, and maybe this has hype on adult fantasy, but I haven't seen this anywhere, so I was super excited. I believe the lore of it is kind of Middle Eastern, South Asian inspired. The other one that I picked up based off the same woman's recommendations was The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I had never heard what it was about necessarily, but I have seen it all over the place, and I know the name is like a well-loved name. Anyways, I also learned, probably like fantasy fans have known this since the beginning of time, not only is she a woman of color, but on top of that, so she's the only person who's won this award, like the Hugo Award, 3 years in a row, and it was all for the same series. The Hugo Award, which I also didn't know, but is like the highest level award you can get for fantasy fiction. This bitch is like, she's dominating the field apparently, and like I didn't know who she was. And it was interesting because like I knew everyone telling me about Brandon Sanderson, but like I didn't realize that N.K. Jemisin was as big a name in fantasy as she was, and I was like very impressed and very proud of her. So I'm really excited to get to this one as well. After that, the final bookstore that I'd wanted to visit was the Glad Day Bookshop, and that is at Church and Wellesley, which if you're not familiar with Toronto, that is the village, which was the first hub that was accepting of queer culture. And so I went to a bookshop there, and this bookshop is half bookshop, half coffee shop, half bar, half restaurant. Drag queens can come perform there, and they have all sorts of events. There's a disco ball like on top of up there, so I know they party. It had a really great selection of books. It was very clearly organized. Like there would straight up just be like stickers that would say like lesbian mystery or like lesbian romance, your first year after transition books, and it can be like fiction, non-fiction, whatever. It was just so specifically labeled that I feel like you could find exactly what you wanted. The atmosphere of that place was like, I can't even describe it. Like I sat there for a couple hours reading, and it was just everything. The music choice is amazing. I like loved it. I highly recommend going there. Unfortunately at that point I didn't really want to buy any more books. I ended up just buying some coffee and food and supporting them in that way. And then the last place that I went was, I had to meet my brother at the Eaton Center, and they have a giant Indigo or Chapters, which isn't a small bookstore. It's not independent. It's like our Barnes and Nobles. They actually also had a huge display for Black History Month, which I was surprised. And so I actually ended up picking up a poetry collection called Don't Call Us Dead. Some really cool poems, like just flipping through it, about HIV and testing and like what that feels like. It was a perspective that I don't think that I have read before, and I was like, you know what, I'm willing to try. Finally, I'll give you my really quick TBR for the month of February. I'm on my psychiatry rotation, so hopefully, I think it's a fairly chill rotation. I mean, I will be studying for the final exam, but I'm hopeful that I will be able to get this from the books that I just hauled. I'm actually in the middle of Empire of stand right now, but I also want to get to these two as well. In between those books, I also have 3 YA fantasies. I'm reading 3 Dark Crowns for a book club that I do with my friends every month, and then I also want to read The Gilded Wolves as well as Children of Blood and Bone. There are so many readathons going on this month. Whichever ones you're participating, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you get to all of your reads as well. See you next time. Bye!